Right, welcome to part 3 where we're going to be taking a look at all the races in Sandown. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks, smash the like, make sure to subscribe, and thanks to everybody who is live with us throughout this evening. Right, let's head to Sandown on Saturday. There is some interesting horses running, lads. There's a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about, and really looking forward to it. Right. So, we're going to go to this very interesting, lads, Novices handicap hurdle. Real interesting race. So, Classic Anthem, definitely a nice horse. He got downed in Plumpton, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. I think he'll run a nicer race here in Sandown. Jinko Blue, this horse 1-3-5 not out. Very interesting. He ran really well the last twice as well. Ran well on flat tracks though. And not beaten far, I think, when it was only a neck, was it, or something? Yeah. So look, really a couple of unexposed horses, but it could throw up a nice winner this race. Zane Knights, who won a Market Raisin. Yeah, Jinko Blue, 12 stone, 5-year-old James Bowen, and Nicky Henderson out for more success after Sergino last week. Right, we're going to move on to this race. So, two horses that are ahead of the handicapper head to betting in this race. And obviously Harper's Brook as well, who is a little bit of an in and out horse, not really been able to show his best. I thought he had it all done the last day when absolutely chucking it away in Sandown. He just looked to calve after doing everything right. But he does take another drop down in trip. Sacre-Coeur will probably make the running in here. Red Rookie looked like he might be a decent horse at one stage, but he never really progressed after that. And then we have Saint Segal, a horse who's been very unlucky for us. He fell in Ascot when the race was over. Jumped the last 2 or 3 lengths, going to bolt in. Fell, and then he should have won the last day when he was second in Lingfield. So he just jumped to third last, a little bit kind of caughty. So Sandown does take a lot of jumping. In Excelsius Deo, Johnny Burke rode this the last day. I'm sure he'd love to get this back. He just couldn't get confident. This horse has so much scope. But every time he came to a fence, Johnny was giving him the whoa, and he kept launching. Instead of letting him, it's a 2-mile chase on a horse that stays a lot further. He'd stay 2 mile real strong. But this could set up lovely for the likes of him. He is a much better horse than he's managed to show. So is Saint Segal. Harper's Brook has questions to answer with his resolution. But if Sacre-Coeur goes off in front, a good gallop, I think in Excelsius Deo, as long as Johnny Burke just trusts this horse a little bit more, because he forced him into a mistake the last day with his riding. He was riding him like a jockey that just wouldn't let him at his fence. He was constantly doing this to him, and then he made a bad mistake and still came there to challenge. He made a mistake, I think, at the top of the hill. And then that left him he had to chase down the hill, and then he flattened off the last 100 yards, and the horse that beat him is running in Leopardstown. So, very interesting. Right. We're going to move on to the Scilly Isles. Right, this was won by some nice horses in the past. Obviously, the Venetia Williams horse was a dynamite winner of it. Jerry Calam won it last year. I think Hermes Allen should take serious beating in this. I really do. I think Le Patron's interesting. I know the form of Le Patron's wins probably isn't up to it, but Hermes Allen, lads, he was the only horse that went after that superstar in Kempton, that French horse. And he paid the price a little bit. He flattened off at certain stages of the races. And then he, was beaten. But that race in Sandown, or that race in Kempton that day, that novice chase, was 5 seconds quicker than the King George. So this horse, Hermes Allen, arguably could have won the King George by finishing second. However, he drops back in trip. He's very interesting. He's lightly raced. And Nickelback is in here. He'll make it a good gallop. Le Patron travels well. De Giallo is an interesting enough horse, but he has to take a kind of another step forward. I thought the race he won in Ascot, that horse of Harry Fry's, is an absolute thief. He just doesn't want to be a racehorse. He is... 1 second now, lad. He is... What's the name of that horse? He was... Right, so in Ascot, De Giallo, right. So Can Do Kid was second, Might I was third, right? Now, Might I is just the epitome of I do not want to be a racehorse. I have all the talent in the world, but I just can't give it to you because I don't want to. That's the type of horse Might I is. A very frustrating horse for connections because he's clearly very good. But so he has to take a step up. So I'm going to say, I just see, and I might be wrong, I see Hermes Allen being definitely the one to beat. He's a very good horse. I know because he got beat in Cheltenham last year and things like that, the bubble was burst. But you can't deny him. He came back, he beat 2 razor fit horses on Chase debut, beat them cozy, done everything right, and he come up against arguably the best novice chaser that we've seen in the last 20 since K.O. Star. You know what I mean? The last. So I do think he's interesting. I think he will be strong at the finish in this race for sure. So Harry Cobden, Paul Nicholls, and yeah, I'm with him on, like, I'd be with him until after this race. For sure. So if he went and got stuffed in this race, you would say right. But I believe he's a much better horse than people give him credit for. Right. An interesting race here as well. The Virgin Bet Heroes Handicap Hurdle. Right. Transmission. What a race that was the last day. Very unexposed for Neil Mulholland. And Joe Anderson, who performed a miracle. The horse clearly has upside. He's been well backed. A very interesting horse in here is Dubrovnik Harry. It's do or die. It's shit or bust for this horse. He either is going to find his form or not. So he's one that has to do it this weekend off 124. If he can't find his form off 124, he may forget about it. Right, so taking a few questions on the lives. I'm going to wrap up the YouTube one. Just to touch on that race, obviously Transmission is definitely a horse that could well improve again. The Harry Durham horse is solid in form, but probably, handicapped about right. So it's hard to find the one. Maybe Transmission could be interesting in the 310 at Sandown. So very, very interesting. Right, tomorrow, lads, there's a lot of horses. I have a few bets tomorrow for the service, but I am going to give out one for YouTube and the live stream, and I'm going to wrap up YouTube now. So a horse in Dubai in the 350 at Merrigan called Wallbank. Wallbank was an impressive winner of a handicap in Dubai the last day. But I always remember this horse when he won in York for David Loughnane. He really looked like a proper horse. I think Sylvester de Souza rode him. And he's with George Bowie now. He won really snug the last day. He's into a listed race. And I believe Wallbank a 5-2. Could be hard to beat out there tomorrow. So, interesting. 350 Merrigan. Wallbank could be a horse of some serious potential for George Bowie moving forward. I do have some nice bets tomorrow for the service as well. Some interesting horses. So, looking forward to that. Right, I'm going to wrap this up for YouTube. Smash the like.